power rankings, we have a new number 1. Why do you have Alabama over Georgia? It's on offthehooksports.com. Is Nick Saban finding his flow with Jalen Milroe? Didn't mean for that to rhyme. Go ahead.
So I think that look, before I say Alabama's number 1, and I'm going to say this in the next segment too, people are really overreacting to Georgia struggling at Auburn. I don't think that that's the biggest deal. But
now, which
Alabama,
I disagree with, but go ahead.
Okay, we'll get to that. Alabama dominated Mississippi State. I mean, they dominated. And I think they're finally deciding we're not going to make Jalen Milroe a pocket passer. It's just not going to happen. He's not like a Jalen Hurts who they could trust to drop back and throw and then take off and run. They're like, okay, we're going to make Jalen Milroe like almost a Vince Young, Michael Vick type. You know what I mean? That is just a run-first quarterback if it's period in the story, and will try to make some big plays happen through the air when he can. And they've adjusted the offense, and it's very clear they're doing that. Also, one of the things that I think helps Alabama for me this week, that win over Ole Miss looks a lot better than I thought it was. I mean, let's call it what it is. Ole Miss playing the way they played last weekend, you got to sit there and say, okay, that was a good win by Alabama. They're getting things together, and that Texas loss is not a bad loss. Texas just beat an undefeated Kansas, which, I mean, I know it's Kansas, but still, they're looking really good. So You got to put Alabama back at number 1.
I don't have a problem with that, but I do think Georgia is still the better team. One last thing on the message board, Rocky Top Tom says on the AP poll, Missouri is 5-0. We're 4-1 against teams which are mid to horrible. I get that, but it's a trip to the swamp. So you have to factor that in. And frankly, to some extent, only about 10% I factor in what happened last year in the Tennessee-Missouri game. I think they're significantly better.
Well,
but I don't want to talk about
also,
people. Your poll's better. I don't want to talk about it.
We'll get to it's also just
I'm disappointed. I'm disappointed that 75% of the voters, I don't think, take it very seriously, and they just fill it out. I take like 2 hours on my Heisman vote. I really take it seriously. I don't want to be an AP voter. If they asked me, I wouldn't, which I don't think they're going to, but I don't want to do that. But anyway, I want to get to your rankings. Your rankings are better, and it's not close.
Well, these are power rankings. These are my actual top 10, to be fair, which is totally different.
I know, but this right here is more solvent and more representation of college football than the AP poll this week. And usually I'll say that about the coaches poll, but the AP poll was off. You got Ole Miss at number 3. That's a pretty significant jump. What a huge win for the Rebels, who I was throwing some dirt on last week. And Lane Kiffin just dialed up one of those offensive days where you can't stop him.
He did. And quite honestly, I got to give him a lot of credit. I almost knocked him because Lane Kiffin was down by 2 with 30 seconds left inside the LSU 10-yard line. LSU had 2 timeouts left. Dave, you run it 3 times and make them use 2 timeouts, and then you kick a field goal to win the game in that moment, right?
Yeah.
Instead, Lane Kiffin went for the touchdown and gave LSU a chance to almost win on the other side. You don't go for the touchdown there ever. You do what Philip Fulmer did against Syracuse. He got to the 10-yard line and he said, I'm running this clock down. I don't want Donovan McNabb back on the field.
Yep.
And
so before we get to Tennessee, who is in the top half when they weren't last week, Texas A&M, I thought that Bobby Petrino would bring a little bit of organization to that team. I don't know that they're a championship contending team at all, but I will say this. I think that Bobby Petrino short term was a good answer for them. And then if you want to address both these teams, LSU at number 5 as we get closer to the Vols.
Yeah, LSU is still they are a disappointing team this year. They were an underachieving team, but if you look at their body of work, losing to Florida State and then on the road at an Ole Miss team that's better than we thought is not. I mean, it's better. It's a better resume than most of the SEC, and they still have that blowout win over Mississippi State, and they beat Arkansas, which is a rivalry game. So they still belong at number 5 in the SEC power rankings. If LSU played anybody else outside of those top 4 on a neutral field, including Tennessee, LSU would be favored.
Okay. Vols at number 6. Why?
They got their first quality win in the SEC, and they didn't just get it. They actually looked significantly better than South Carolina. And it's if you were to go head-to-head circular logic here, which I don't believe in, and I don't think you believe in either, Dave, this team beat this team, which beat this team, so this team needs to be ahead of this team. I don't do that at all with power rankings, at all. And because this is who's playing the best right now. Who would you, outside of those 5 schools I named, who would you favor over Tennessee on a neutral field, honestly?
None, and we'll get to the rest of the list. I think 6 is a very I actually think they're probably the 4th or 3rd best team, but with what they've done and the way you do it, I totally agree.
Right. That's where I am too. And this is where the controversy is going to come, are the next 2 teams, because they're both undefeated, and they're 2 of the 3 remaining undefeated teams in the SEC.
Okay, so after that, you got Kentucky and Missouri. So Kentucky undefeated, Missouri undefeated, but in the power rankings, they're just languishing down there in the middle. What are you doing, Caleb? Do you just not like the Wildcats and the Tigers on the ladder?
So Kentucky fans will lambaste me for this, because look, we both picked Kentucky to cover against Florida last Saturday. We both thought they were going to actually beat them pretty significantly. Their blowout win against Florida at home at noon, that's not, playing Florida at home at noon is not the same as playing Florida in the swamp at night. Do we agree on that?
Yes.
It's a totally different environment. And Tennessee wasn't even fully healthy in that game because Cooper Mays was hurt. So you throw all of that together, I'm sorry, Kentucky still has a miserable resume. They've played horrible teams for most of the year. And again, I don't care that they blew out Florida. Tennessee plays Kentucky on a neutral field right now. Vegas is going to put the money on Tennessee. They are.
Auburn comes in at number 9. That's a rebuilding program. And then you've got Florida that comes in at number 10. Now, that doesn't look good for Tennessee. And Rocky Top Tom says on the post, if you're watching on YouTube, hit like and subscribe. We appreciate that. Says, we lost to an incredibly mid Florida team who just got wrecked by Kentucky. If Tennessee and Florida were playing on Saturday with a healthy Cooper Mays, who would you pick in that game, even if it was at the Swamp?
Tennessee. And if they're playing at Neyland Stadium at noon, I'm picking Tennessee by 40 with a healthy Cooper Mays.
Ouch. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know about 40, but I think Tennessee wins with Cooper Mays in there comfortably. Rocky Top Tom says still Florida, and they played each other, and I respect that, because ultimately Florida got the dub.
But that's not how power rankings work, by the way.
Right. Yeah. I think he knows that, but he's saying that Florida would win. South Carolina, 11. They dropped significantly after getting hammered by Tennessee in Tennessee Super Bowl.
But they don't feel like they're number 11, Dave.
No, yeah, they don't.
They don't feel 2 and 3.
Yeah, that's the other thing that Spencer Rattler said in addition to the Super Bowl. So let's roll out the remainder of the list. Mississippi State, Arkansas, Vanderbilt, and Arkansas to me is the one that could get weird because Sam Pittman was such a great fit, but people said that about Butch Jones. I don't know that Sam Pittman is going to be long for his world in Fayetteville, which I know a lot of people like him. He's kind of a fan favorite. Why? Because he talks to he's a media favorite because he talks to everybody in the media. We could probably have him on by Wednesday if I called, but we're good. So the Power Rankings brought to you by Rick Terry Jewelry Design. They do design jewelry, but they also do affordable game day jewelry. How about the Fire Opals, a Tennessee tradition? RickTerryJewelry.com. RickTerryJewelry.com. And I want to ask our message board before I'm trying to do something here, and trying to do 2 things. I'll just be honest with you. I mean, I would like to sell as many of my books as I can, but I'm trying to think of a way, and I would appreciate your suggestions of honoring Brew McCoy this week. We did Champions Week where you got a free t-shirt last week, and I'm thinking about, Caleb, I'm just workshopping this out loud, and tell me what you guys think. So it's the AEDs, that's what they're called, that they give you if you're having a heart issue, like happened in the Bengals Buffalo game last year. Is that what they're called? AEDs that spark you back to life, the paddles.
I don't know, but I know what you're talking about.
Brew McCoy has given a lot of his time to make those more accessible. So I'll ask the message board, what do you think about a portion of the proceeds from the book going to Brew McCoy's, it's not a foundation, but the group that he supports? I'm curious what you all think about that. If that sounds like just corny marketing, taken advantage of a situation, tell me. But I think, Caleb, you know me well enough where I do want to give back, and I do want to make this world a better place. So the units are about $2,500. So I'm trying to figure out a way to buy at least one unit. That's my goal, and we're going to do some workshopping on that. But if you haven't ordered the book now, please do so, and it'll be retroactive. Whatever we figure out, you can order the book right down below. I want to thank Hound Dogs for a second. For Travis says makes me feel better about buying 2 books. So okay, we're just going to do that. How about we say $5 of every book goes to the foundation that Brew McCoy currently works with. And I'll have to look up the foundation because, again, I'm workshopping this out loud. But I will $5 per book will go to his foundation. And who knows, maybe we can the charity that he supports, maybe we can buy one of those machines and maybe it'll save somebody's life. That to me is better than selling 1 million books. That would be absolutely incredible. Well, I don't know, maybe 1 million. I could start my own foundation, but we're going to go ahead and implement that, and we'll have a social media post on it. But if anybody wants to go ahead and buy one now, it's basically going to be retroactive now. So $5 for every book sold for the remainder of this week, and we'll just run it all the way through and until Texas A&M. $5 for every book sold goes to support Brew McCoy and the charity that he worked with about getting one of the AEDs, I believe they're called. Google that for me. Make sure I'm not talking out of my, you know what. And that's what we want to do.
Because they're personal. Yep, they're American AED. They sell home personal use defibrillators. Defibrillators. Excuse me.
Yes. So if we sell enough to provide half of one, I'll take that. Hopefully we do more than that, but again, I hope you don't think this is a cheesy marketing thing, because it's not, because I just was brokenhearted for the kid. Because listen, people that transfer used to always be malcontents, period, end of discussion. Alvin Kamara is the ultimate example of not a malcontent, and I was blown away by him smiling all the time, and he wasn't playing enough. Brew McCoy shows up. You had the domestic assault issue that went away somehow at Southern California. They tried to hold up his transfer, and he's nothing but a great man while he is on campus. That to me was something special. So I want to do something, and I think that's going to be it. $5 for every book sold until the Texas A&M game, and we may do it beyond that. We'll go to Brew McCoy's foundation. I'll find that out. We'll have it on a social media post later today. But if you decide to order, go right ahead.